But being bored is not enough of a reason for me to go change my hair or do something this drastic. It's actually a lot more than that. Like, I'm genuinely feeling depressed, and I don't mean to use that word lightly. I know a lot of people just say I'm depressed. No, I am genuinely depressed, and I almost every single person I know in Lebanon is depressed for one reason or another. For starters, we're watching people around us suffer. Most of us, our money is becoming less valuable by the day. The dollar rate, as of this recording, is hovering at the mid 14,500, something like that. Yesterday, it went up to 15,000. Who knows what it's going to be tomorrow when this episode comes out on Thursday night. So we're watching our living conditions deteriorate before our very eyes every single hour. And it is extremely stressful. I was at the supermarket yesterday and people were panicking about the price of rice and people were panic buying. And the guy who owned the supermarket didn't even know how to price the items because he has no idea how much it's going to cost him to replenish his stock the next day because the dollar rate keeps on fluctuating. So he might be losing money or he might be overcharging just to be safe, but people are just fucking confused. A lot of people are unemployed. I'm unemployed. My cousin is unemployed. Most of my cousins are unemployed. Businesses are closing left and right, so there just seems to be no hope. And I actually have a collection of tweets that I've gathered that I wanted to read to you guys because these are like from a bunch of different people that I follow. Some of them I don't follow, but just they can put into words what people my age, older and younger, are all feeling. This is from George Haddad, who's actually my first cousin. What's up, George? He's still employed, thankfully. Here's what my cousin George said on Twitter. Every single person I know living in this damn country is convinced that what they do has become completely useless. There's no meaning, no purpose, nothing. People are depressed, they're exhausted, and are just waiting for the worst to unfold. Very accurate words. And and that's no way to live. You know what I mean? You shouldn't feel hopeless. You shouldn't feel like there's nothing for you to look forward to. And unfortunately, that's where we're headed. Christelle Asaf shared this tweet. I can't find the right words to explain what is going on inside of my head. My dad's retirement plan is worthless after years of working for almost 14 hours a day. One of my siblings is jobless after years of working in a firm. The other gets paid half a salary. That was just the beginning of her thread. But again, things that the majority of Lebanese people can relate to in one way or another. Hussein Shaito. Please be kind to young people in Lebanon. Many of us are actually freaking the hell out because we're trapped in every sense. Surviving day to day is not exactly ideal. Just don't question personal processes. Support in any way, only if you can. And again, he's absolutely right. Every single person is going through something. He's mentioning young people in general, and I completely agree. If they're lucky enough to be able to pay for college, what kind of job or what kind of secure future are they even anticipating to get? None. So it must be horrifying to be a young college student right now in Lebanon who doesn't have a foreign passport. I am extremely lucky. I have a foreign passport. I can leave anytime I want. So I am extremely privileged, and I am very aware of that. Nagam Abu Zaid shared, the worst part is that for over a year now, every single day gets significantly worse and considerably more challenging to survive. And we haven't even hit rock bottom yet. We're still free falling down a very deep well. The future in Lebanon is terrifying. And Nagam is absolutely right. We have just scratched the surface of the pit of hell that Lebanon is falling into. Okay? So the dollar being 15,000, that is unfortunately just the beginning. And it is only going to get worse. And I even heard rumors today that supermarkets might start charging dollars for imported products, which is the majority of the products that we bring into this country. Just a rumor. I saw it on Twitter, but you can sort of see a trend in what is happening. Sarah Hamze, who I follow on Twitter, since I came back to Lebanon, I have been on autopilot, survival mode, and nothing else. I haven't led a normal life since September 2019. It doesn't make it better to know that many are like me. It just causes me more pain because we all deserve much better than this. Again, these are a bunch of people that are all in their 20s, early 30s, feeling hopeless. Sandra on Twitter also shares, I don't want to live in a country where our worries include but are not limited to a pandemic, lack of basic necessities, road closures, hyperinflation, currency devaluation, unemployment, harassment, and getting randomly shot by a Neanderthal with a weapon. No, thank you. Again, I fully agree with Sandra, and I follow her as well. Toby Tabit, the dad of Anis Tabit, who I mentioned in my very first episode of the podcast as one of my all-time favorite Lebanese influencers, This is what Anis's dad said, and I'm going to read it in English. He tweeted it in Arabic, but I'm going to sort of translate it for you guys. Listen to me. I am from a generation that has lived through 8 or 9 wars, and I've lived about a year and a half inside of a shelter. I started working in 1983, and after 2 years, my salary was $75 a month. Now, in my 60s, my salary is back to $75 a month, and the bank has stolen all of my Social Security and savings. And even that Social Security wasn't even worth it. I don't want to hear anyone defending any single political leader because they are all worthless assholes. Very well said, Mr. Tabit. And the most perfect tweet out of all the tweets that I've seen on Twitter that sort of puts our horrific experience into words is this. From Lina Munzir. Friends abroad ask, how are you? And I want to say, I'm trapped inside a burning building, and though my own floor is still livable, there's the sound of people wailing and hurling themselves from the windows and the smell of charred flesh, and I can't sleep for the horror of it. And instead, I say, fine, you. It's a perfect tweet because you can't even begin to describe to people what we're going through. And this is Twitter every single day. This is how hopeless people are. And I know people like to complain on Twitter and all of that, but it's different. Like, I know regular complaining and just like bitching and moaning to hopelessness and people feeling like we have no future in this country. According to Barron's, for example, just to give you guys some stats of how bad things are looking in Lebanon, 55% of Lebanese live below the poverty line of $3.84 a day, the United Nations says. Up to 23% of Lebanese live in extreme poverty, compared with just 8% in 2019. So the rate has almost tripled in less than 2 years. Consumer prices rose by almost 146% during 2020. And food prices overall rose by more than 400% last year, the World Food Program says. So unless you get paid in dollars, which is the vast minority of this country, you cannot afford basic necessities anymore. Things have gotten so bad that, like, check it out. I have a video right here of people at a supermarket that are standing in line to receive government subsidized goods that are going to cost less than, the average consumer item. And these items are so rare and so scarce that the security forces are asking people for their IDs, and they're refusing to selling any of these items to non-Lebanese people. This is where we got. This is a horrible video. Check it out. He's asking for IDs, بدي هويات. He's asking for people's IDs. Look at this. Look at the lack of dignity. Look at the lack of dignity. People are lining up to buy a bag of rice at a lower subsidized price. And they're asking people for their IDs and turning them away if they're not Lebanese. This is where we're at right now. This is where we're at. And there are other videos of people fighting in supermarkets, fighting over bags of powdered milk, fighting over rice, fighting over frying oil, all because those prices are subsidized. And I don't know, man. I don't know. How are people supposed to live without anything to look forward to? Like, if you're working right now in Lebanon and earning in Lebanese liras, your salary is worth maybe $60, $70 a month or something. How do you live with that? How do you plan for a future? How do you care for your family? How do you wake up in the morning and feel motivated to even get out of bed? This is what a lot of people are feeling. This is why when I say everyone's depressed, it's true. We don't even have the energy or the motivation to get out of bed every morning. I stare at the fucking wall most of the time, and I have to talk myself into doing things. I have to talk myself into wanting to get shit accomplished, because I am at a point where, as if COVID wasn't enough for us to deal with, as if COVID and us being trapped at home, we are all trapped at home while the country burns around us, and there is nothing we can do to stop it. And it has taken a fucking toll on all of us, myself included. Look at how I look.